So we are back at school after a little bit of a break due to our snowpocalypse. And I'm sure that you guys are all really excited and have a ton to share. So I thought it'd be fun to start today with breakout rooms where you get to talk to people about what you did during our little snowpocalypse. So in a minute, I'm going to enter in the chat directions for this. Yes, Nora, we'd love to see the turtle at some point this morning. And we are going to go to breakout rooms with like 4 people and take turns going around and share like what cool things you did during the snow time and weird things that happen. If any tree branches broke, hopefully your houses are all okay. Like we left our tent thing, you know, those tarps that you set up in the backyard. We left it outside and forgot about the snow and it smashed it to the ground, which was sad, but not the end of the world. And then, yeah, tons of people are out of power, including my friend, Ms. Nordstrom. She had to go into Timberland today to teach because she doesn't have any internet. She doesn't have any power. She doesn't have any heat.
Yeah.
And
That
a lot of people don't.
outage, it was.
Yeah, so right
Oh,
now, Portland Public Schools, Oregon City Schools, West Lynn Schools, they're all still out because of power
Oh.
outages. Beaverton was a little bit lucky because they weren't hit quite as hard with all the ice storm. So on your second round, when you go around in your group, after you're done listening to what people did during the snow thing, I want you to talk about, you know how sometimes we have those times where we're like, you're on a desert island and this happens, how are you gonna survive? Well, this time, let's talk about this. You are in your house in Portland and the power goes out. Right now, Ms. Nordstrom has had no heat, no power for 5 days. How are you gonna stay warm and eat, like be able to have hot food? So you get to talk about that and make sure you go around and listen to everybody's answers. So here I'm putting in chat what we're talking about. I think I spelled snowpocalypse wrong. And I'm setting up the breakout rooms. And make sure you let everyone have a turn. So you're going to go around 2 times. First time talking about what you did during the snow. Second time talking about what you would do during a power outage, a long power outage. Okay, let me make breakout rooms. I want to have enough so that there's like 4 of you in a room. I see lots of hands raised. So you have questions about what we're going to do?
How come I can't ever raise my hand?
Well, your hand's raised. Go ahead, Alexander.
Yeah, I mean on the computer. So yeah, I have this little fact that my dad told me, and it's not a good one. So
why don't
you know the pressure of water in your pipes?
Yeah.
In the wall. So when you turn on the faucet, the water will spray right out. Well,
Yeah.
if the pipes freeze, then the water will have nowhere to go, so it'll just explode. So
And
you gotta yeah, and then
we've had that happen. Alex, did your dad tell you that you have to go turn it off at the street then? So most of us have this little tool, and if you know this or not, you can go turn off the water at your street. We had that happen. We had our pipes freeze and break.
A pipe broke in the street was just a waterfall.
Okay, here we go, guys. You can talk about all this in your breakout rooms. We're going to create the breakout rooms, head to your breakout rooms, take turns, and everybody talks. Go. Open all rooms. Let's see here. We ended up with a lot of rooms of 5. In fact, 5, 5, 5. I'm going to make one more room. Well, no, let's not. Let's just open all the rooms. There we go. Emma, do you need me to move you? Are you here, Emma? If anybody needs me to move them, let me know. Oh, she made it. Good. Okay.
A lot of people have died due to carbon monoxide.
Yeah, but those are people who are bringing their barbecues inside their houses. And you know that when you burn things, it lets off a gas. But natural gas burns really clean. So as long as there is a burning going on, the natural gas won't kill you. Like you can turn on your stove, leave it on all night as long as it's still burning. If the fire goes out, then it doesn't burn the gas and then it can make you sick. But the people who are having problems are the ones who are like bringing their barbecues from outside into the house and cooking on them. And things like coals and stuff put out a lot of that. You know, they're not really a flame and they're not burning up the gas. So they put out a lot of that poison, carbon monoxide. What it does is it makes people go, oh, hey, Akash, I think you need to, you're loud. There we go. Hey guys, welcome back. So a couple of things. Hopefully you enjoyed talking about that. But also, I did have some people complain that there were people in their groups who chose to keep their screens off and not talk, which is really not okay. So make sure that you're talking in your group if you can. Now it looks like Joey got kicked out, and so he might not even have been there as long. Sometimes it has a symbol, but somebody's been kicked out. So that might have been what was going on there. Joey, did you make it back in? I don't know if he made it. He just tried to come back in and didn't make it, I think.
I'm here.
Oh, you did make it.
Bathroom.
Joey, did you get, oh, you went to the bathroom. Okay, because your group was calling on you to talk and they said they couldn't get through to you. All right, well, good job, you guys. I'm glad, hopefully none of you, do any of you have your power out right now? Oh, everybody's got power? Good, yay. I was reading in the newspaper and like half the state of Texas has no power. And it's interesting because the governor and some of the other people who don't understand it have tried to blame the environmentalists by saying that the wind, you know, the big wind generators, that some of those froze up and that that's what caused the big power problem. But in reality, it's actually traditional fuels like natural gas, actually the pipelines that are really horrible polluters, they've frozen up and that's really what's caused the problem. So we have to be careful when information comes out that we check and see that we know what we're talking about. That governor is talking and he's making people mad at people who are trying to save the environment, and that's not right, right? But I think it's hard when people are cold and they aren't used to this. Like in Texas, it's often really warm. And so this is unusual weather, probably due to climate change. And they're really in bad shape down there trying to figure out what to do. So I'm glad you're all safe. Ms. Nordstrom is busy trying to keep her house warm. She said they turn on their gas fireplace or they sit by their gas fireplace in the day, but then at night they all have to just crawl in bed really quickly because another thing they don't have is light. So since they don't have power, they don't have lights and they don't have TV and stuff. So they're having to be creative and play family games by candlelight. And she said it was kind of fun for the first day or two, but now they're going on day 6. It's really cold in their house. So that's happening in Portland right now. It's happening in Texas. It's pretty exciting. We don't have to even imagine a crazy scenario because we have one. All right. So today we have a lot of things to get through because we've missed lots of days of school. The first thing I wanted to share with you is this little message from our new president and his wife. You might have seen it. But we actually just had a holiday. Does anybody know, other than President's Day, a different holiday? Anybody know what other holiday we had? Clara, go ahead. No, we did have Valentine's Day, but this is a different one, an international holiday. Nobody knows? Nobody celebrated Lunar New Year? Here we go.
Oh, you mean Chinese New Year?
Well, Lunar New Year, it is sometimes called Chinese, but it's also Vietnamese and all sorts of Asian cultures celebrate it. Did you celebrate it, Zong?
Yeah.
Cool.
And in fact, Year of the Ox is actually the year my sister was born.
Oh, and that's what we're about to hear about. So I'm going to share my screen right now. If you need to blacken yours so you don't get kicked out, make sure you do that. And I'm going to go to this little video from our President Biden and his wife talking about Lunar New Year. Can everybody see it? Hello, can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's hope it plays.
Jill and I are here to wish a happy Lunar New Year to everyone who celebrates.
This is a time of renewal, a chance to celebrate. Remember the joys and sorrows of the path that brought us here, and imagine the possibilities of all that lies ahead of us. Like paper lanterns, we let our hope light the way forward. For so many Americans, we've never needed a new beginning more.
Amid the pain of this pandemic, the loss of life and livelihoods, we've seen another tragedy: racism, harassment, hate crimes against Asian American Pacific Islanders. It's simply wrong. It's a stain on our national character. Every person, no matter their race, background, religion, or language they speak, deserves to be treated with dignity and with respect. That's why I signed an executive order condemning racism and xenophobia against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and directing the federal government to advance racial equity in all that we do. Our diversity has always been our strength, and I promise you, our administration will be guided by that truth.
The Year of the Ox reminds us of our resilience and perseverance. We've seen it again and again from the Asian American and Pacific Islander community. The courage of all frontline workers who have risked their health to keep us safe. The kindness of those who have given their time and talents to help their neighbors in need. There's hard work ahead, but we have always been stronger than the challenges we face. And together, we will make this year brighter and more beautiful with every passing day.
We're going to get through this together. And in this season of renewal, may we all find strength and joy in one another, in our families and in our communities. And from our family to yours, we wish you happiness, health, and prosperity. Happy Lunar New Year.
Straight from the White House to your living rooms. I'm going to stop my share for a minute. So I thought that was kind of cool. A cool look at our new president and a cool look at the Lunar New Year and what we're looking at for the new year. And hopefully we are all very hopeful about this next year getting better. I've had my first shot. Hopefully your parents are going to be getting their shots soon, their vaccines, and we're going to move on and we'll be able to see each other. Alma, go ahead.
My grandpa is getting the vaccines, I think.
Yay, it's like something to celebrate, right? Awesome. And they're even starting tests on kids now. So they just, up until now, they haven't tested the vaccine on children. And so they didn't know whether it would work on kids. But now they're starting a new test where they have like some kids who are going to be getting the vaccine and they're going to study and make sure that it works on children. And so hopefully you guys too will get the vaccine someday, which would be great. Akash, go ahead.
My mom's a doctor, so she got both of her vaccines already.
Hey, your mom's all the way vaccinated. Raise your hand if your parents have had the vaccine already, or your grandparents, or anybody you know. Lily, you have somebody? I see your hand raised.
No, I know what your background means.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Awesome. Okay, Raina, did you have something you wanted to say, or are you just raising your hand because of somebody getting the vaccine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm hoping my husband can get it soon. He has kind of a disease that makes him more susceptible, so I think he'll be in the next group. Yeah, Kavai, go ahead.
My grandma and grandpa got the vaccine.
Yay! I'm so glad. Yay.
Next month they're getting the boost.
Yeah, I get my second one on the 2nd, so it's coming up here. Very exciting. So we're moving.
Also, my auntie got it.
Yeah, someday this whole thing will be over. It feels good. It feels like, when we're climbing up that big steep mountain that now we're sort of whooshing down and things are getting better. Okay, Lunar New Year, we did that. So in a couple of things this week with schoolwork, I moved some assignments. So that math assignment, I moved it one day and then I moved it another day. Hopefully you saw that. I do apologize because when I adjust assignments on the calendar, sometimes you guys don't see the changes. It did that to Adrian this week and it did it to Tyler before. Where like on your cell phone, you can see the new changes, but on the computer, you see the old agenda. So if it looks like the agenda hasn't changed, I'm just telling you it really has. Everything was moved back a day. What it really only affected was a math assignment that was pushed to the next week, and your essay was supposed to be completely done this week, but I've moved it a whole week away. So it doesn't have to be, your Hannah, the detective essay, does not have to be completely done until the end of next week. But if you want to get it done early, go ahead, and then you can just do some free writing. And I do have kids who send me their free writing, and I'll give you feedback if you want honest, like criticism to make it better. If you want constructive criticism, please tell me. Otherwise, I tend to be pretty positive. Raina, go ahead.
Weren't we supposed to do the Hannah, the detective essay yesterday?
It was supposed to be done this week, but I've moved the deadline on having it completely finished and submitted to next week.
So I can submit it this week.
So you don't have to submit it this week. You can submit it next week if you need to. Okay. Originally, it was supposed to be due on Saturday, but now I moved it back because I felt like you maybe needed some more days after the crazy snowpocalypse. Okay. And then on social studies, I was going to share my screen again. So turn off yours if you need to. And I want to show you this. So, oops, this is actually Raina's filled out chart. Sorry, Raina, I didn't mean to show that to everybody. You did a good job. Here's the one that you guys have. So this is this Regions of Oregon input chart. And it says the name of the regions. So you're supposed to choose 2 of these regions. And you only have to do 2 of them. So you can delete the others, or if you want to research all of them, you can. You're supposed to look at the geography, what mountains, rivers, and lakes are in that region. Because what we want you thinking about is, why did people choose to live in that region? And how did the region, like the shape of the region, affect the way they lived? For example, behind me, if I were going to go live in Mars, I would not be able to survive like this. I would need a spacesuit because I couldn't breathe here. I would need some sort of shelter because they have very big storms. Anyway, here you need to Google and find out the weather average, temperature, precipitation means the rainfall or snowfall. What grows there, the flora or plants, the fauna or the animals that live in that area. Which tribes live or lived in this area. So there's historic places tribes lived, and then there's now where the reservations are, and those might be a little bit different. What did the native people wear? What was it made from? So like, was it made from plants? Was it made from animal skins? What type of house did they live in? Again, what was it made from? Modern day traditions kept alive. You're gonna find the answers to this one in the magazine, and I'll show that to you in a moment, and then other information. So if you look in the module for social studies, here it is, you'll see that this week we're focusing on the tribes and the regions, but that there are these 2 additional pages. This one is all about the traditional lands that the Native Americans lived in, so it will show you that. And this one is a tribes magazine. This will show you, if you open it up, it's like a 30-page magazine on what the tribes did historically, but also what they're doing today. So that will tell you the modern day stuff. And then you can either use this assignment and just submit the chart that I just sent you. But when I attach a chart to an assignment, it's the only way it lets you submit. So if you want to take notes in a different way or write a little report, then you can use this button and submit. You do not have to do both, one or the other, okay? 104 or 105. It's the same assignment.
Miss Laws, so you don't have to do 105?
No, you don't have to do 105. All 105 is an extra button to submit your assignment in a different way. So like if you want to print out the chart and write the answers in pencil and then take a picture, you'll have to use 105 to take a picture and send it in.
Wait, so 104 is like the main assignment.
104 is the main assignment. And 105 is just an extra button in case you don't want to use that chart that's attached.
Okay.
Zeta, go ahead. Oh, you're still muted. Try muting and unmuting again. Try again. Oh, are you there? Now I don't even see you. Did you get, oh, there you are. Try unmuting now, Zeta. Zeta. Just click that little button. Try now speaking. No, we're still not hearing you, sweetie. You can put your question in the chat to me.
Oh, this happened to me. I have to log off from a lot of the Zoom and log back in.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. It looks like she's going to try logging out and in, maybe. All right, let's keep going. Any other questions about that assignment, that social studies assignment? So the main point this week that we want you to learn about is for 15,000 years, the only people who lived in Oregon were Native Americans. They lived here for 15,000 years, and they were actually considered pretty rich because Oregon is a really easy place to live if you have to live off land. It has a lot of natural resources, food like salmon and shelter from all the trees. I mean, compared to a place like Mars, Oregon was a sweet place to live. And so a lot of tribes lived here and they were considered pretty wealthy. So learning about their traditions is great. And then I think we often think of the horrible time when white settlers came to this area and how it wiped out the native people. And that's true, but it did not wipe them out entirely. And those people still live here. If you've ever driven up the Columbia River Gorge and looked out at the river, you'll see these weird fish platforms, these wooden structures, because they still fish for salmon by standing on these structures, and only the Native Americans are allowed to do it, dipping these big nets in the water. Zeta, try again. Let's see if we can hear you. Talk really loud.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So, can I share something my grandma got a new dog that I want to share?
Oh, about your new doggy? You want to share it with everybody? Go ahead, tell us.
Okay, well, it's right here. He's sleeping right now.
Oh, okay. Well, when she wakes up, you can show her to us, okay? And you can show her to me later, because remember, you and your grandma are going to stay on today. Do you remember that, Zeta? We're going to have a little meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Zeta, you can show her to me when she wakes up. Okay, so we talked about the essay. We talked about the social studies. The last thing I wanted to share with you is we're to the end of this language arts module. We're almost to the end. And we're almost to the end of Mod 8 in math. And so it's time for DBAs again and the discussion-based assessments. And this time you're going to do them with me. So I've already put a button on Monday to sign up for DBAs, but you can go on now. I noticed that Alex already went on there and signed up. Let me show you where that is. If you go to,
Mom did actually.
Oh, your mom did? Okay. If you go to the calendar, hopefully it'll change in a minute. Come on, calendar. There it goes. And you're going to be coming to these assignments that are like, do your DBA with your teacher, which is your discussion-based assessment. You'll see that I have put on, here it is, a link to sign up for the DBA for today or tomorrow. So I need you to go on today actually and sign up, because I would like to have Monday filled up. So when you click that, it's going to say, please click this link and sign up for a conference. I need all of you guys to sign up for a conference with me. We haven't done these in a while. And then I'm just going to chat with you. Oh, look, Alex has been on there. Lily's been on there. So go on here and sign up for a time. Please don't erase anyone else's time. There's times all day Monday and all day Tuesday. They're about 20 minutes. When you zoom in, you can zoom on and then just wait, and I'll let you in when it's your time. Oh, I see people on there signing up right now. Look at that. Okay. Questions about DBAs? Raina, go ahead.
So, are there any today?
No.
Oh,
Monday and Tuesday, they're on there.
okay.
Okay. All right. It looks like Tomomi already did her job of putting the date into the chat. And then also, let's see what other jobs. We haven't had our weather report this week. Are you ready for that, Alaya? Or not today? Is she here? Alaya, are you here? I don't actually see her. Maybe she's not here. Maybe she got kicked out. I saw her try to come in again, so maybe she didn't get back in. Okay, are there any other jobs that I'm forgetting from today that I need to keep on top of? Yeah, Raina, what?
So I'm on the calendar, but I can't find the DBA thing. Should I refresh the page?
Raina, honey, it's on next Monday, the 22nd. And send me your questions if they're not for the whole group, okay? Okay, here we go. Let's go on. The next thing I wanted to do is, this month is Black History Month. And I have got a story that I was gonna read it to you, but I actually have it recorded, so we're gonna listen to it. And this story has a little bit to do with my background. So you've heard some people talking about this background. Raise your hand if you know what my background's about. Tomomi, what is it?
Mars.
Yeah, the Mars landing today. So today, I've given you a link on the calendar, and you can use that link to go and watch the Mars landing. Now, the broadcast starts at 11:15, but they're saying that it will land closer to 12 o'clock. So you could just turn it on in the background and kind of watch it. I'm gonna have it on during our escape rooms. And if it hasn't landed already, I'll pull you guys out of your escape room and show it to you so that you can watch the landing, because it's super important and very exciting.
It isn't actually real time.
So I managed to find a book, though, that has a little bit to do with NASA and our space program and African American history. And it's also a cool movie if you ever get a chance to watch it. It's called Hidden Figures. It's about some African American women who were math geniuses, and they solved the problems to make us be able to program our spacecraft and get to the moon, which was very exciting. Yeah, so we're gonna watch that book now in class. And if you get kicked out, you can go to it. It is a link in our, it's a link in our read aloud area. So we're gonna go in there. Some people have got their microphones on, so we need to mute that so it's not too loud. And during this movie, I actually put this in the chat, but I'm not sure if I already submitted it, but let me submit it now. I would like you to think about, oh, it never got submitted. Okay. So here's the thing. Maybe I did. No, I did not. All right. I would like you to think about how we read, every year we have like African American History Month, and we usually study the same 3 or 4 people. We study Martin Luther King, we study George Washington Carver, the guy who helped do all that research with Peanuts. We study Ruby Bridges, and we study Rosa Parks. But this movie is about some other people and what they did, and what they did was amazing. So I want you to think during this movie and maybe take a few notes on the fact that when we read about history, we only read about a few minorities and a few women, but we read mostly about famous old white men who ran our country, like presidents and explorers, and you guys read a lot about that stuff, right? So how can we, you know, the truth is, those people's stories are told because they're the ones who wrote them down. And these other people didn't have an opportunity to publish books about what they did. And so how can we make history more fair? How can we make it tell more people's stories? And how important is it to hear other people's stories? So I want you to watch this movie or show, book, and I'd like you to think about that. Like, what about reading other people's stories is important? And how do we recapture or learn true history from the perspective of somebody other than the richest, most powerful people, who in this case are usually white dudes, right? So here comes the story. I'm going to share my screen. If you need to turn your screen off, that's okay. You may take notes if you'd like to. And here it is. This is on that slideshow of Black History Month books.
Hidden Figures, the true story of 4 Black women and the space race. Written by New York Times bestselling author Margot Lee Shetterly and illustrated by Laura Freeman. Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, and Christine Darden were good at math. Really good. In 1943, the United States was at war, World War II. Dorothy Vaughan wanted to serve her country by working for the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the government agency that designed airplanes. Having the best airplanes would help America win the war. Making airplanes fly faster and higher and safer. Doing lots of tests at the agency's Langley Laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. Tests meant numbers, numbers meant math, and math meant computers. Today, we think of computers as machines, but in the 1940s, computers were actual people like Dorothy, Mary, Catherine, and Christine. Their job was to do math. Because Dorothy was black and a woman, some people thought it would be impossible for her to get a job as a computer. She lived in Virginia, a southern state, where laws segregated or kept apart black people and white people. They could not eat in the same restaurants. They could not drink from the same water fountains. They could not use the same restrooms. They could not attend the same schools. They could not play on the same sports teams. They could not sit near each other in movie theaters. They could not marry someone of a different race. But Dorothy didn't think it was impossible. She was good at math, really good. She knew she was the right person for the job. She applied, and the laboratory offered her a position as a computer. At work, blacks and whites were kept apart. The white computers worked in one building, and Dorothy and the other black computers worked in a different building, in their separate office. Even though they worked on the same kinds of assignments, the black computers and white computers used separate bathrooms and ate in separate lunchrooms. America won the war in 1945, but Dorothy stayed on the job, still trying to make airplanes faster and safer. By 1951, the Americans and the Russians were competing to see who could build the best planes. That meant more experiments and more numbers. Lots and lots of numbers. And more numbers meant there need to be more computers. That's when Mary Jackson got a job as a computer at Langley. She worked in a group that tested model airplanes in wind tunnels. A wind tunnel was a machine like a huge metal box with a powerful fan attached. Mary put model airplanes in the wind tunnel and blasted them with air from the fan. This experiment helped her group improve their designs on the models before building full-sized airplanes. Mary wanted to become an engineer, but officials said it was impossible. Most of the engineers at the laboratory were men, and to become an engineer, Mary needed to take high-level math classes, but she wasn't allowed to go inside the white school where the classes were taught. But Mary was good at math, really good, and she refused to give up. She got permission to enter the school building and take the math classes, and she earned good grades because she didn't give up. Mary Jackson became the first African-American female engineer at the laboratory. Katherine Johnson was good at math and always asked lots of questions. In 1953, she applied to the laboratory for a computer job and was placed on a team that tested actual planes while they were flying in the air. Their research was used to figure out ways to prevent future plane crashes. In one of her first projects, she learned how to analyze turbulence, or dangerous gusts of air. No one knows how many lives her work may have helped save. Katherine wanted to help the group prepare its research reports, so she asked if she could go to the meetings with the other experts on her team. Her boss told her it was impossible. Women aren't allowed to attend meetings, he said, but Katherine knew she was as good at math as everyone else, maybe better. So she asked him again and again. And again. Katherine asked her boss so many times that he finally invited her to the meetings. Katherine was good at math, really good. And because she fought to be treated as same as the men, she became the first woman in her group to sign her name to one of the group reports. In the 1950s, the Langley Laboratory bought a machine computer that could do math faster than the human computers. At first, these machines made mistakes. Dorothy learned how to program the machines so that they got the right answers. She taught the women in her group how to program the computers too. In 1957, Russia launched a satellite known as Sputnik into orbit around the Earth. The United States started building satellites to explore space too. For years, the laboratory had used math to design new airplanes. Now, it would need math to create spaceships as well. The government decided to change the agency's name from National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics to National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. '61, President John F. Kennedy told Congress, "I believe that the nation should commit itself to achieving the goal. Before this decade is out, a landing of a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." A man on the moon. But first step to getting a man on the moon was to send an astronaut around the Earth. NASA was going to need to hire more space experts and more people who were good at math, really good. The people at the laboratory had to work together from morning to night to figure out how to send astronaut John Glenn into space and bring him back home to Earth safely. Katherine Johnson knew she could use math to help. "Tell me where you want the spaceship to land, and I'll let you know where to launch it," Katherine told her boss. Katherine helped calculate the trajectories or pathways that rockets travel through space. She had a plan. Glenn's exact route from takeoff in Florida to splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean. There was no room for error. No one was better than Katherine at solving these tricky math problems. Days before his mission, John Glenn wanted Katherine to double-check the machine's computer's trajectory calculations to make sure he hadn't made any mistakes. When Katherine said the numbers were correct, Glenn was ready to go. On February 20th, 1962, Glenn blasted off into space, circled the Earth, and made his way home safely. Meanwhile, laws began to change so that black and white students could go to school together. Blacks fought for the right to sit beside whites on the bus and to drink from the same water fountains. At the laboratory, black and white computers started working together in the same offices, eating at the same tables, and using the same bathrooms. Black and white moviegoers could sit next to each other in the same theater. Across the country, people started to think about ways to bring equality to Americans. Christine Darden was good at math, and she loved electronic computers. She started working at Langley in 1967. Christine wanted to become an engineer, and thanks to Dorothy, Mary, and Catherine, she knew it was possible. Eventually, she became an engineer for supersonic airplanes, planes flying faster than the speed of sound. But her first job was to help with NASA's mission to the moon. The people at the laboratory prepared for years to send astronauts to the moon, about 238,900 miles away from Earth. Finally, on July 20th, 1969, the world watched as the 3 men arrived to the moon in their Apollo 11 spacecraft. Now that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, said astronaut Neil Armstrong when he stepped onto the dusty surface. But it was also a giant leap for Dorothy, Mary, Catherine, Christine, and all of the other computers and engineers who had worked at the laboratory over the years. The moon landing was a success from takeoff to splashdown, but there was no time to rest. Once NASA landed astronauts on the moon, the people at the laboratory began dreaming of sending humans to other planets, such as Mars or Jupiter or Saturn. They started to imagine hyper-fast space planes that could travel around the Earth at 7 times the speed of sound. The next adventure wouldn't be easy and would require lots of tests and lots more numbers. But Dorothy, Mary, Catherine, and Christine knew one thing. With hard work, perseverance, and a love of math, anything was possible.
Okay. So that was a very cool story about some people whose story hasn't usually been told. What do you guys think? Did anybody have any thoughts about how we can make history and what we teach at school a little more fair?
Telling stories from everyone's perspective, because there's kind of a thing like take fiction because it's easier. So there's usually a villain and a hero. It makes the villain look more villainous because it's usually told from a hero's perspective. But if the story was told from a villain's perspective, it probably wouldn't look as villainous. So most stories should usually be told from an outside perspective who has no opinion of either side, so that way they can balance fair and fair what really happened.
Excellent. Anyone else? I don't see any hands raised, so if your hand is raised, please just speak up. So I think one of the interesting things Clara just said is that when the story is always told from one perspective, then you only see it that way. And we often tell the history of Black Americans as sort of like a sad and tragic history where everything was bad and everyone was bad to them. But look at this story. These people were amazing. They were smart. They were able to break all sorts of barriers for women and barriers for education and barriers for color. And it's a joyous story, isn't it? It's kind of a joyful story. How many other great stories like that are out there? Not just stories of the struggle, but stories of the success. Because we have come a long way in racial equity. We're not there yet, but hopefully we're moving toward that. So if you guys come across a cool story, like the one we read the other day about that, the African-American cowboy deputy marshal was pretty interesting because that was kind of a different perspective. I'm trying to find you stories about African-Americans that's telling about real people like you and I who were amazing and did great things that we really should know about, but we often don't. So if you find a cool story about something like that, I'd love you to share it with me. Tell me the name of the book about women or minorities or anything like that. But today we are on a historic day. This is not the day we're landing on the moon, but it is the day that we're going to try to land this rover on Mars. People have been working on this for years. Imagine if you had been working around the clock every day, every moment for years on a project, and it comes down to what they call 8 horrifying minutes. So from the time that thing,
terror.
from the time it enters the atmosphere until it lands, it has to slow down, come down slowly enough that that rover lands right side up. If it lands upside down or if it lands too hard and breaks, there's nobody there to fix it. It's all robotic. There's no people because it's too far and we just haven't succeeded in sending a person to Mars yet. But if this rover goes well, maybe we'll send people in your lifetime, which would be cool. Alex, go ahead.
So, the Mars's atmosphere is so thin, so it makes it really hard to slow down.
Yeah, and we may not, on the broadcast, they're saying right now that we might not be able to see anything for a while. Like they're gonna control it, hopefully. It's gonna land. Once it lands, it does some sort of robotic things where it opens up solar panels. The panels charge up the rover, and then the rover can start communicating with us. So there'll be some minutes there where there might be silence and we don't know what's going on, where they're waiting to see if it's gonna work. So that's gonna be really like bite your fingernails time, right? Yeah.
There's this cool video on YouTube. Search up Mark Rober, and then you should see it.
Haben, if you want to share the link in the chat, do it now. But
no, I can't.
Or you can, Haben, you can send it to me, the name of it, and I can put it on that same site. So I've put a link on your calendar to places where you can watch the Mars landing. I would suggest you just around 11:15, which is when they're going to start broadcasting. I'd just turn it on in the background and leave it on today. And just turn the sound down and just keep an eye on it until you see that something's actually happening, because it could be a while. All right, at this point, we are done with our meeting for today. I would like Zeta to stay on with me because we were gonna have a little meeting with your grandma. But everybody else, you can do one of two things. You can either go, or you can go to a study hall, which our study halls are our breakout rooms. Here's the new rule on the breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are for you to do, if you prefer to do your schoolwork with another kid and you want to talk about the projects and work together on the projects, that's fine. But that's what it's for. It's not a place to go just mess around and play video games. So I'm making a new rule about the breakout rooms. They're going to be breakout rooms that you can join yourself. But if it gets to be 5 people in a room, I want the last 2 who came in to go to a different room. So no more than 4 people in a room. When the 5th person comes in, 2 of you have to leave and go to another room, okay? Any questions about the breakout rooms? Okay, I think I'm gonna open then about, let's make 5 breakout rooms. I think that'll be enough. I'm gonna let you choose your own room. Actually, I'll make 6 just in case they get crowded. There we go. And Zeta, stay with me. Deckard, I would love to be able to give you that ERLA test that I wanted to give you yesterday, but I think you forgot to come in. So if you could go to a breakout room, buddy, and just be in there, I'll come get you when it's time to do the reading thing, okay? Does that sound good? All right. So Zeta, stay with me. Deckard, you can go to a breakout room. You can be with other people or you can be on your own, either way. And here we go. And if anybody has questions, you can stay with me. Okay, rooms are open.
Wait, we can also leave?
Or you can leave the meeting. If you want to just work on your own at home, you can leave the meeting. Bye-bye.
Miss Laws,
Yeah.
the rover's name is Perseverance.
Oh, that's a great name, isn't it, Lily? I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in the book.
There's
Yeah.
opportunity and
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Do people have questions for me? Deckard, go ahead and join one of those breakout rooms, either with other people or on your own. I see people in room 4. Looks like there's 2 people in room 4.
It doesn't let me
One
go
person
to the
or 2.
breakout rooms.
Elizabetta, you want me to move you to one? I will do it. Room 2. There you go. Does that work?
did you know that rovers are like folded blocks?
And then they come, I know it's so cool, but I don't think we'll get to see that because it's not like they've got a camera crew there to film the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So we're not going to see much until the rover gets charged up and can take pictures. That'll be cool though. Abby, do you have a question, honey?
Yeah, but the person left.
Oh, who was your question for? Oh, it was for
It
Susie,
was
wasn't it?
Susie. Yeah,
Okay. Can you send her an email?
I have.
Okay, you could tell her, ask her to come back onto Zoom, and you could just work in a breakout room, and if she comes, I'll send her there.
Okay.
Okay. Emma, how about you? Did you want to go to a breakout room? Do you need help getting there?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, do you have a question?
No, my dog is.
Your dog is doing something? I've met your dog. He's cute.
Ah,
Super cute. Okay. Abby, Gagan, Alex. Alex, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna go on stuff with Gagan. I think I also shared it with you.
Okay.
We
What is
have
it?
like a hundreds chart we're working on and tic-tac-toes.
Oh, I did see that. I asked you if you programmed that. Did you program that thing? Those games?
No, they're just so me and Gagan could just play.
Cool. Okay, so you guys are going to a room now. What room are you going to?
No.
Breakout room 1.
That one's free. Go for it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of our fun room.
Okay. Abby, honey, why don't you go ahead and go to room room 3, and I'll send Subi there if she comes, or you can go to room 2. Lily's in there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right, Zeta, I just wanted to check in. Remember last week when we talked to Grandma, we were talking about having another little meeting today. Is Grandma home and ready?
Yes, she is here.
Great.
The dog.
Is your puppy there? Let's see. Is it a baby puppy or is it a grown-up?
He is 9. He's gonna be 9 weeks old on Saturday. 9 weeks old.
Okay. 9 weeks old, so it's a baby. What kind of dog do you know? Is it going to be a big dog or a little dog?
He's a Great Dane.
Oh, you got a Great Dane puppy? I love Great Danes. We had a Great Dane once. Oh, he is just a baby. He's a Harlequin. He's going to have black spots, isn't he? Oh, he is so cute. How is he? Is he a good boy?
Yes, he's a very good boy.
Oh, what's his name?
Maui.
He's really little for a Great Dane. He's a young one.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite dog ever was a Great Dane. He was such a good boy.
He's a good boy. It's a new experience for us.
Have you had a Dane before? Uh-oh, Zeta, you muted somehow. Okay.
I've had dogs, but never a Dane.
Yeah, they're very sweet, but you do have to train them because they get so big so fast.
Oh, yeah. We saw him 3 weeks ago. He was 22 pounds. And we picked him up last night. He's 27 and a half.
Yeah, cool.
He's growing like a weed.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Oh,
it is. I'm a little tired after last night.
They're kind of like babies, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's just like having a baby.
Yeah.
I haven't had one of those for a while. So.
Me either. How's it going with Florida Virtual?
I read through a lot of the stuff that you sent over, and we went through the tutorials and whatnot. Right. With all the snow last week, I wasn't able to work with her at all just because she wasn't here. But
you're feeling good about what you've seen so far and how it's working?
Do what, honey? You gotta turn it up. I can't hear you.
So one thing that we want to find out, I gave Zeta a little reading assessment yesterday. The information I got from her previous school was that her reading level was very, very low. And they had her at 2 grades below grade level. But then yesterday when she read for me, she started out kind of slow on that test. I don't know if she told you, but then she warmed up and she did much better. So I don't know if she gets nervous.
She does.
Yeah, so I think she was inaccurately tested. It's kind of hard when they're doing the whole class, they're like in a rush. So I got her and she's a little low. Her grade level is definitely, she's a little below grade level on reading, but I would say more like a year and much higher than where they had her. So that was great news.
That's good. She's improved a lot. She took her a while when she was at Butternut for a while in Hillsboro. She got pretty far behind. It was like she wasn't getting as far along as she could. And once she went over to Kinnaman, she started progressing much better and at
Yeah.
a better speed.
It's because Grandma in
Um,
seventh grade has 1G, 2G, and then 1.
And then of course with all of this, it's kind of been back and forth trying to keep her up to speed.
Yeah.
It's been a little
Yeah.
challenging, so.
And that's my concern too, is that we keep her going. She said she was in a reading group at Kenneman.
She was.
We have this reading group thing that we do on Fridays, but it's not like a phonics intervention. It's more just to keep the kids reading. I talked to her a little bit. I was a little bit concerned with her answer when I asked her what the last book she read was. She said she finished her last book 3 weeks ago. And I was like, uh-oh, no. So fiction book. So we want to keep her reading. And what I was saying to Zeta yesterday is I want her reading at least one little book a week in fiction, as well as some nonfiction, and making sure she's finishing books.
She's supposed to be reading every day. I mean, I
Yeah.
talked to her dad about it, and I'm under the impression she reads every night before she goes to bed.
Okay.
So she might have maybe
And-
misunderstood. I don't know. But at any rate, I encourage her to read often. I know her dad does as well. So
That's the most important thing. And then the other sort of side benefit of this program is it's much more reading than the CDL. So in
I think
CDL,
it's fine as long
Yeah.
as she's progressing, which I think is
Yeah.
the big thing. And I think
Good.
the more she does it, and I think the more she does it out loud, she gets a little intimidated doing it in front of people out
Yeah.
loud. I think it's good
Yeah.
for her to do that.
yeah, great. So so these programs are really designed to have her doing it right there with you nearby, so she can, there's all these little icons that say that she's supposed to turn and answer questions and tell you things. So
Okay.
that would be great. And
Okay.
if you
No,
can
I
just
think that would be a good thing for her as well.
train her to do that, train her to respond to those prompts in the lesson. So
Okay.
if you, since you're kind of just getting started this week, if you could choose one of those modules in language arts and just slowly work through it, I think that would be the way to start versus starting, we're kind of like 3 weeks into a module. And so I doubt that's going to make a lot of sense to her trying to do exactly what we're doing. We're going to start a new module in a week or so. And I think at that point she could start with us. But like for this week, I'd suggest you go back and do like mod 1 or mod 2 and just work through it slowly.
When we were looking at the modules, like we did a math one, and I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw it or not, but we were trying to go and do the post-test or pre-test
Yeah.
from the earlier ones, but
Yes.
I don't know if I was missing something, but it wouldn't let me get into them.
Okay, that's what I was worried about. I'll check that and see if they've somehow blocked you guys out. But
It
you
showed
should-
them, but there was no way to.
It showed it, but there was no way to take it, huh?
Yeah.
I'll ask about that. Because I have another child who's supposed to be doing those pre and post tests, and I told them to let me know if they couldn't get in. But I hadn't heard that until now. So I will give that a try.
Yeah, we weren't able
Well,
to get
if you can't get in, then what I would suggest is go to the start of this mod and just start working through it from the start, the one we're on.
And that's why we went to 8 when
Yeah.
you,
Okay.
that's where you were. And I said, well, just take this one. At least it gives your teacher some idea where you're at.
Yes.
And, you
Yeah.
know, if we can't do the other ones, we can't. But
Right.
at least we're making some progress. So.
Yeah.
Assignments a day. Right.
So we, here's the thing with the reading. When you start doing the reading assessments, I'd like you to assess how much you feel like she's getting from it and how much frustration. Because we do have the ability to move her entire curriculum to another grade level. So like I have students in right now who are doing 2nd and 3rd grade Florida virtual. So I'm not able to give them like a suggested pacing guide, but the level is so much better for them that their home coaches and them they're able to work on those levels better, more independently. So kind of just get a feel for how she's doing, how much frustration, how much she can do it independently, or how much she needs you to be there to help her with all the directions.
Okay. Okay.
All right, that's about it. The last thing I think is that I would love to see some of her writing. Zeta, did you write a story for your teacher this year? Did you write her a fiction story about your life or a story about your life, a real story? You didn't do any writing of the story?
Yeah, we were doing writing, yeah.
Okay. Do you have one of your stories on a Google Doc that you could send to me? Some of your writing?
Yeah, but I don't know how to send them.
I'll help you.
Grandma will help you send it. Just help her find that Google Doc and then just send me one of your stories with your name on it. You could just email it to me.
Okay.
That'd be great. I'd love to read your writing, sweetie. All right, that's it. So I just wanted to check in, and if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll check on those pre-tests. I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah, and like I said, we can always start the ones you're at now, but yeah, to go back is kind of challenging to do. So,
Okay, sorry about that.
If it happens, let me know.
Okay, I will. Thank you. You have a great day.
All right, thanks.
Girls.
Bye.